Hey, greetings and welcome to this first video in which I'm going to be streaming myself, explaining a lot of things about Apphive. I present myself, my name is Jorge Luis. I am the CTO of Apphive, and these streams are meant to be a guide for you on how to create applications with our platform, and also a way for me to communicate with you all if you have any doubt about how Apphive works. One of the reasons we are doing these live streams is because Apphive is primarily used by people who speak Spanish. And by the way, I also speak Spanish and is my primary language. English is my second one. So if something doesn't make sense to you or you did not understand what I said, please let me know. I'm going to be watching the commentaries because I really want you to get the idea of what we are trying to offer you in Apphive. Okay, so again, if something is not pronounced correctly or something you don't understand what I am saying, please let me know. So if there is someone in the comment section, please let me know if you can hear me correctly and you can see me, because that is going to be very important for these lessons. The other thing I want to tell you before we really start with these live streams is we are going to be streaming one day each week. And in this stream, I'm going to be getting all of the questions that you have. And you can get the questions to me before the stream if you register in the links that we post for these live streams, and you can put the question there. I'm going to read one because I already have one for this live stream in a moment. The second thing I want to tell you is that these streams are aimed to be like tutorials with some parts of the applications that you are building in Apphive. So if you have a question and I take that question and I find that completely interesting or completely relevant to what we are talking about, I'm going to be answering it. And almost always, I'm going to take the complete hour answering it. So if you have any question that you don't know how to do something in Apphive, you have doubts if that is even possible in Apphive, please let me know and I'm going to answer it. Okay. So these lives also have the objective of making Apphive a little bit more accessible for English speaking people. So if you are starting with Apphive and you don't speak Spanish, don't worry. I'm here to answer your questions. Let's get started then. I have one question from Giovanni. I am a new user, he says. Just I only watch the course. Okay, you are going to be watching the course. So it's not really a question. So it's more like you are going to be watching these videos. Thank you for doing that. And let me tell you, these videos are not exactly courses. They could be, yeah, but they are going to be building on each other as I'm going along. So, in other words, I don't have a script to what I am going to tell you in this live stream, but I have some of my topics already in my mind. So let's get started. To start this live, in attention to all the people that don't know how Apphive works, I'm going to make a showcase of Apphive, right? So let me prepare here my screen to show it to you. Give me a moment, please. Okay, let me see. There you go. Okay, I can see my screen. And let's get started. To start, let's go to editor.apphive.io. It's the URL of our product. And let me tell you what Apphive is. Apphive is a development platform. In other words, is a place where you can build applications. In order to build applications, you need to know how applications works. You can't make an application if you don't understand how it works. Okay, because I'm going to tell you this because it's a no-code platform, of course, but that doesn't mean you don't have to learn a language to make your applications. It doesn't mean either that you don't have to know how servers or clients or other parts of the application work. Okay, you can see here that I am already logged in. I'm going to get out of my account so you can see the first page that you are greeted with when you enter Apphive. This one is asking you to log in. Why we ask you to log in? Because we need to store a lot of your information here. For example, the projects that you make, the name of the projects, the name of applications. And in order to do that, we need you to sign in. So let's do that with Google. I recommend using Google, of course, because it's a little bit more convenient, but you can also log in with your email and with a password or with Facebook. Here you see the first page in Apphive. This page is the home page, we call it that, and you can see here my list of projects. When you are a new user, you won't see this at first. Let me show you. For example, I'm going to create a new account, and this account is going to be from my same email, but with another one that I have here prepared for this. So give me a moment. There you go. And here I need to create a password, right? Let's create one. I'm going to create a provisional password because I need to change that after the stream is over. So and there you can see that it is asking me to verify my account. This is only to make sure you are the owner of the email account that you are putting there. So you won't be using the account of other one. The code it's going to arrive at your email inbox, so you can copy and paste it, and after that you will see this screen. This screen is what we call the quick start. In the quick start is when you create a new project. This is the page that you see. That is in contrast to the other one that I showed you before. The other one is the one that we call home, and it shows the list of your projects. As this is a new account, I don't have any project created. So this is what is shown to me. Now, what is a project? A project is a container that has applications, that has a singular database, a Firebase database, and you can connect each one of the applications inside the same project with the same database and with the same. There are other parts of the application that are connected and that are the same. The example that we always tell or people in Spanish is Uber. Why? Because Uber has not only one application, it has two. In fact, it could have three. The third one maybe is not an application, but in this example, let's say it has two applications. The first one is the client application, the application that the rider uses to request a ride, right? The second one is the driver application. The driver application is the one that the driver has always open in its car, in their car, so they can accept riders, right? But both applications are connected. They share the same database. They share the same rights, and they can share some parts of the information. That's why we create projects, not applications, sorry. So we can create a project, and a project has to have one application, at least one. It can have more, but it has to have one application. So let's create that with blank template. There is another button to create AI projects, because we have a tool to create the scaffold of the project using AI. The problem with this one is not a problem really. Is more like we have limited access to this. So if you register for Apphive, there is a chance that you will get one AI projects. We give 15 50, sorry, no, not 15, 50 projects a day. So maybe you could be the lucky one to get one. So let's create a new one, a black project, and let's put it a name. Uber example, for example. No, Uber is not correct because Uber is a trademark. What about riding application, riding project? Sorry, there. And there it is asking me to put it a name, because as I told you, any project must have at least one application. So let's put it app one. There you go. Then it's asking me to create, to select an icon for this application. This could be changed later. This is only a placeholder until I have an icon for my application. So let's choose any one of that. Then it gives me a brief of what is going to be created. It's going to be creating a project named Writing Project with this application that is right here, and it's a free project. The subscriptions in Apphive are by project, so let's create that one without paying anything. It's creating now my project, and after it is finished, it is going to be opening me the editor. So before we dive in what the editor is, let's return to the root of this web page, editor.apphive.io. Remember at the start of this, I show you how it looks like when you already have projects. Well, this is the same exact page. It's called home. It has my project here. In what you just saw is the sidebar that shows me the new functions that we add to Apphive. Okay, it has videos in English and in Spanish, and here you can see my project that I just created. If I click this one, it opens me what we call the project's dashboard. In the project dashboard, you can see the list of applications. You can see environment variables. This is going to be very important later when we are developing the application. It has a database. It has deleted applications, is our trash bin, the trash bin of our applications. It has something called Geofire that I am going to be showing you later. It has another part that is called subscription. Here is where you are managing your billing account. And then we have admins. Admins is the list of users that have access to this project, because you can give access to your project to your projects to other people so they can help you out when your project. So let's enter this application right here, and there I am back at the page that I was when the project was created. Okay, so now what is this? This in the center is the preview of our application, and is when I am going to be watching the page that I am working on. Here at my left, I have a list that is empty right now. That is going to be the list of my pages in my application. For example, if I click right here, you can see that a modal is opened. In this modal, there are a lot of templates of pages already built by Apphive that you can use to scaffold your application. I can add, of course, an empty page if I want to start from scratch. So let's do that. Click here. And there you go. You can see the page is added right here in the list on the left. And in the center, I can see the page as well. The page is highlighted by this rectangle. I'm going to add a new one. So you can click here in the plus sign. And let's add this one that looks like a login page, right? There you go. You can see the one that is highlighted now is the social one. And I have here the empty page in this part. So now let's do something else. Let's run the application, right? Because that is the important part of this development platform, right? So let's do that. Here you can see a button that says see my application. You can click on it and you will see a button that says launch. You can run your application. This is a good segue to tell you about it. You can run your application in a lot of ways. Apphive supports web, supports Android, and supports iOS. For Android and iOS, we run a React Native application that we generate with your application when you compile it. That is going to be a topic for another day, but you just need to know that we support iOS and Android and web application. The one that I am going to be launching here is the web application preview. I can see the preview of my application without doing anything else, and I can test it, I can play with it. The other one, I can download the application that Apphive has in my cell phone. This is an Android cell phone, by the way. And you can run there your application as a preview as well. Okay, so let's do that. Let's click launch right here. And there you go. I have my empty page. So if I return to my editor, we can see that this page is not being shown. Why? Because you can expect this page to be the one that is showing. But if you pay attention to this part of the list, you can see that the empty page has a start that is completely filled with blue. This start is the symbol that Apphive uses to mark the application that the page that is going to be shown when the application is run. So you have a starting page is what it's called. This one is the starting page. If I want this one to be the starting page, I can just click on the start. It will be filled. And when it's filled, I can rerun the application right here. But to rerun the application in the web, you just need to refresh your browser. There you go. And now the first page that is shown is the page that I have the start field. Okay, this is going to be important when we are teaching you the navigation part of your application. Your application never has two pages shown at the same time. It's always one. Okay, so now let's add some functionality, because what is an application without a functionality, right? I'm going to return this page as the main one because I want to start from scratch for other things. Other thing that I want to show you before I add any functionality is that in Apphive you have everything already organized. That is what makes this a little bit more variable than doing this from scratch with code. Everything is organized. For example, if you want to change the color of your application, you already have a tab that says style, and here you have two colors, the primary and the secondary color of your application. You can change these colors and everything in your application will change. Okay, not everything, but everything that is done with the primary and secondary colors will change. For example, you can see in my left, sorry, you can see that the page is changing, but the empty one. If I go to the page that I add as a template and I change the color, you can see that not everything changes. Only the background and the button on the top left is changing. That is because those are the only elements in this page that have set the color to one from the theme. I'm going to do that a little bit later. So I am going to be making recommendations to you as we go along. The first one that you have to remember is that in as long as it is possible and is it acceptable, you should use the colors from your palette. From your palette. Why? Because that will make you able will I don't know how to say it. Let me think about it. That will allow you to choose any other color, and all the application will be changed as well. For example, here I want to change the background of this page. I could use here. You can see. Sorry, I almost forgot that I am trying to make these tutorials for new people. So here I have the page. You have three buttons here. The first one right here is what we call the style tab. If you click on it, you open this one, and this one has a lot of options depending on what is selected here on the page. How do you see what's selected? The first clue is this border right here in blue. The second one, if you go to your left and click here, in this part, it says controls. This is a tree, and you can see it highlights the element that is selected. In this case is this page. Let's return to the list right here, and let's change the background color that it's here. This one is our color picker, and in our color picker you have a lot of options. We could, for example, use a custom color. Let's change it to a custom one, right? Like this one. Now, the drawback of using a custom color is that now, even if I change the color of my palette, this one doesn't change. The reason is because I am using a custom color. In the other hand, if I click on these ones, this one is the primary and secondary colors of my palette. I can use this one and click on that one, and okay, I like that one. It's a little bit more nice to the eye. And if now I change the color here, you can see the color in my page is changing. That's the advantage of using a color from my palette, the primary or the secondary. The disadvantage is that we don't have the flexibility. We don't have a lot of colors. Depending on the situation, it is sometimes better to use the palette one, and sometimes it's better to use the custom one. Just remember, as long as you are able to, or it makes sense, use the palette one. You will thank me later. That's depending on your branding, of course. Now, let's return to this section right here on my right. It says insert, and here you can see a list of icons. This one represents our controls. A control in Apphive is an element that will be displayed on the interface. For example, we can have a button. A button is a very common control to be used. In Apphive, we call them controls, and HTML, they are called elements. So let's add this one. To add it, you just need to put your mouse over it and click and drag it to your empty screen, and you can see a line right there, an horizontal line in blue. That line indicates you where your button is going to be placed. If I release then my mouse, you can see the button is added. I can add another one exactly doing exactly the same, drag and dropping it, drag here, and you can see the line tells me where the button is going to be placed. That is going to be very useful later, right? Let's remove one button. How? I click on it and I press the back button on my keyboard and I delete it. I delete the button. Okay, now the second one. You can see that when I select the button, the same frame is shown as when I am selecting the page. The difference is that now I have these anchors. These anchors are used to resize the button from the interface. For example, if I click on that and drag it, you can see a box is shown right there that tells me how many pixels this button has in its height. The same for the width. And we can change both at the same time for any of the corners. Okay, that's pretty common use case for anchors to resize elements. And you can also resize the button by going here to the dimensions part of the style tab. You can see here. And if I select the page, you can see it has no anchors because it doesn't make sense for you to change the page size. The page will always fill the size of your device if you are using mobile. We do not support web pages as a complete web page for now. You can open this in your phone with this URL. If you are logged in your account, you will see how it looks in your phone. Okay, let's go then create. Then after we create the button, let's add some functionality to it. If I go and run this one, let's refresh our page. You can see here this is the button that I will be adding functionality to. So let's do that. If you can see here, there is another button that is the functions tab. If I click on it, this list is going to be opened. In this one, you can see the add event and a button here. If you click the button, you can see the list of events available for the control that you have selected. For example, here you have an on press, long press, and on press out events. Let's add an on press event. This one is an event. We can add multiple events, of course. We can have the on press and long press events, and you can delete them. Here in the on press event, I'm going to be adding a console log function. The console log function, the debug log, it is called in Apphive. The debug log function is exactly the same as the console log function in JavaScript. It has some differences that we are going to be exploring more in depth a little bit further into these courses. But for now, it's a console log that will show me a message in my console and my development console. So if I click here in the plus button, you can see a new list. This is the list of all the available functions for Apphive. I recommend always using the search feature because you can go by category. Of course, there are a lot of categories on what you can do in Apphive, but it is always easier to search for them by name. For example, I want here to add a debug log, so I can type in my keyboard debug log, and you can see the function is right here. I can click on it, and there you go. I have now a debug log function inside my onPress event. So now each time I press this button, this function will be executed. And I can pass here any value that I want. For example, I'm going to put my name here, Jorge. And after that, I'm going to run this. Let's refresh only to be sure that everything is completely updated. And I'm going to click here. Nothing happens. But in fact, something is happening. The thing is that I am not seeing it. In order to see what's happening, I need to open my development console. The development console is something that all browsers have and is used by developers all over the world to develop and to debug their applications. So we at Apphive, we use exactly the same tool. So you have exactly the same benefits that as any other developer has when developing new applications. That is something that we are very proud of because Apphive doesn't try to fight the code. We are a development platform. So you need to know how to debug, how to create, how do your application work works in order to make it. So let's open the console. To open the console in any browser, you just need to press F12. If you don't have this console open after you press F12, maybe you don't have the development tools available. So you need to enable them from Chrome. So now you can see here this one, 6 times, Apphive love, Jorge. So I'm going to press this button to clear everything, and I'm going to press again this button. You can see each time I'm pressing the button, the debug log function is executed. These are the building blocks of any Apphive application. So for example, if I want to change something when my button is pressed, so the user, the real user, the user that will be using my application sees it, I can do the following. I can add another control. Let's add another control that is not a button. For example, let's add a text. The text control is something is an area when I can put text. If I double click on it, I can type anything, everything I want. So for example here, hello, this is a text control. And then after that, I can go here to this section, the style section, and I can change some things that are specific to this control. For example, I can change the font size like that. And I can change this text color. For example, let's put it something like that. And remember, you can change the colors of your entire application from here. Okay. So now I want a new functionality that when I press this button, the text right here will change. I'm going to add something that is called an UUID that you can understand as a random string. I want to put a random string right here every time I press this button so you can see the change. So let's go to this button and go back to the function section. And here, let's delete this debug log function. It's not going to be used anymore. And here on the onPress event, let's add a new function that is called modify control. And the modify control is a function that, as its name says, as its name says, it modifies properties from other controls. For example, I want to send the data to other control. I want to set the UUID, which is again a random string, and I need to choose which control I want to edit. Of course, it says element here, but it should set control. And here I can select the text area. And after that, I need to tell the system which property it needs to modify. Here you can say that, you can tell that. By selecting text, I say, send this value to this text area and put it on its text property. Okay, let's do that. Let's go back here and click on it. You can see each time I click on the button, the text here changes. So now I can use exactly this to make applications. You can change almost any property from any of your controls. The text, the color, the backgrounds, if it is shown, if it is not showing, the list information, everything about your control is changed this way. So now you have almost all the tools you need to change how the user is experiencing your application. The second thing I want to show you in this first live stream is what you can do about navigation, because you can navigate between pages, not only modify the controls. So let's do that. Let's remove these controls right here, and let's remove this page. You can remove the page by clicking on this menu, and here you can see the delete part. You can delete. And other thing that is very important, if you make any mistake, you can go back. How to go back? Just click here as many times as you want. Of course, it has a limit, but you can go back and undo your mistakes if you make any mistakes or you want to undo some change that you don't like. The second part that I want to show you before we go to the navigation parts is that you have a name for any of your pages. Each page has a name, and the name is very important for you as the developer of your applications, because the name is what you are going to be using to identify in which page you are working. So for example, I can click here and double click to select the text and type wherever I want the page to be called. I'm going to call this one uppercase A. Let's add a new one that is going to be an empty page as well, and let's call this one B. Let's change the background because I don't like that one. Let's put this one. And now, if you remember correctly, if I go to my running application, you can see here the empty page that is called A. Let's put something so the user can say it is the A page without seeing the name. Let's add a text here, and this text, let's change the size. Let's double click on it and put the uppercase A. So now let's make it a little bit bigger, maybe something like that. And you can see here, now I know this is the A page. Now, how do I go to the B page? The way you do it is, let's copy this one. To copy, Control C here. Let's select this page right here and Control UV. There you go. Then double click and type B. Now, to go to this page, we need to use functions that are called navigation functions. Let's return to A. Let's put again a button, and this button is going to be called, you can, as you can see in the text controls, you can double click on them, so you can change the text. You can do exactly the same with the buttons, double click, and then type the label that is going to be showing in the button. In this case, it's going to be go to B. There you go. If you click any place outside of the button, the editing part is closed, and the button returns to the state that it is before you double click on it. Now let's add the function as I showed you before. Let's go to the functions tab, and then at the event is the onPress event, and after the onPress, let's add a function. Let's search for it. We can search for it as I told you, but you can go here to the navigation category, and in the navigation category you will see here the functions to navigate between pages. Let's go one by one. Push screen. If you push to another screen, you are going to put the screen that you the page, sorry, it should be push page, right? But it says push screen, sorry. But you can select here the page that you want to go to. Let's put the B one. When you press the button, the system is going to create a B page and put it on top of your A page. Your A page is going to be still there. You won't see it and it won't be rendered, but it's going to be there. Let's show you a little bit of what I mean by that. Let's click on this, and you can see we go to the B page. Now, if we are in the B page and we want to return to the A page, we need to add a button as well. And as well, let's add an event. The event is going to be the onPress event. And inside the onPress event, let's add another navigation function. This navigation function is going to be return to last screen. Remember, I told you when you push screens, you don't destroy the other one. A still exists, but B is on top of it. If we call return last screen, we remove the page on top and show the one that is below it. So let's try that. Let's go and refresh this application. We start always from A. That's correct. That's what we expect. Now let's press this button. We go to B, and then we click this one, and we go back to A, and we can change from A to B like that. That is what we call in Apphive navigation, and in fact, it's something that you do in almost any platform when you are developing applications, including the web. You are navigating between pages. So now let's change the name of this one because I didn't put the name. Let's put back. Right? There you go. Now if I go back here, you can see I can toggle between A and B. Now this is just the basics on how applications work in the navigation part. Of course, there are a lot of parts that we are not going to explain in this live. We are going to explain them as they go by, but for now those are the basics. Then there are other things that we can do. For example, there are another functions to navigate between pages. The replace screen, the go back to screen that we already see, the push screen, the replace top page. What you need to know is that the navigation part in Apphive is made by an stack. We have an stack in memory. of your pages, and we add pages as we run your application. The stack is filled with pages, and you can navigate, remove, or put pages on top of them in the stack. You need to understand this as a stack. The other thing that I want to show you is a lot of functions from Apphive have documentation. For example, if I go here and type the name of another function, the name of the function is unknown to JSON string. This function right here, the name says a lot about what it does, but it is not the only clue that you have. You can click here on this question mark, and you are going to be redirected to our documentation. The documentation is pretty much a working process. We are trying to add in a lot of functions to it, but the vast majority of the functions are not here on the documentations. We are trying to make them all be here. But you can see the ones that have all the documentation in English and in Spanish. You can change to Spanish if you are a Spanish speaker. If not, in English there are as well. So we want every function from Apphive to be here, so you can have a reference to what any page does. Sorry. So now, those are the examples that I had planned for this live stream, but I'm going to be showing you a lot more. For example, I'm going to be showing you what is the client, what is a server, how to connect with a server, how Apphive makes that a little bit easier, that you are going to be doing it without Apphive. I'm going to be showing you how these functions, push screen, a lot of the other ones from navigation, work to make an application, a real application, how we can integrate login with an application, and how to check if the user is logged in or is not logged in, how to create lists, how to use the database. We at Apphive use Firebase real-time database. When you deploy your application for production, you use your own Firebase project that is completely separated from Apphive. So that's an advantage, because you can manage your billing without us moving directly your project. We can, of course, move your project to configure some parts of your application, but you have all the control in your Firebase project. The other thing that we are going to be doing in these live streams is answering questions. I already talked about it. The other thing that I want to make very clear is that I am not really I don't have a lot of experience speaking in English, so these tutorials are going to be a little bit rough at the start, but I hope I want to be improving my pronunciation and my speaking speed as we go along. And of course, I want to transmit to you my experience development. I have been working 5 years developing applications, and know how the architecture works, and know how to design interfaces, how to design databases, how to design servers. So I hope my knowledge will be useful to you, the little knowledge that I have. Okay. So now, to finish this live stream is clocked to be ended in about 15 minutes. So to end this stream, let's add a demo on how to do a login page, right? Let's remove this page. It's not going to be used again. Let's remove this button, and let's remove this text. First, when a user enters your application, you want to detect if the user is logged in or if your user is a new one. Remember, the application stores in some part. We are not going to be talking about exactly where, but your application stores user credentials as your users authenticate in your application. So let's try to check that out. If I select the page and add the event exactly the same as if I want to add events from a button, I can add events to a page. The unload event is going to be called each time you focus on the page when you are navigating between pages. Let's add the unload event. And after that, let's check if the user is logged in or not. To do that, there is a function. It's called is logged in. This function has 2 callbacks. You can see callbacks here. This is the first time that I am going to be showing you callbacks. Callbacks are very important and are a core part of the Apphive functionality. You have 2 here, the one when the user is already logged in and one when the user is not logged in. Let's add the book logs to both of them. The book log, no user. Let's copy. You can copy functions. Copy this one and put it back right here, and put here user detected. So let's run that. Let's go here. Let's refresh your application, and you can see here that Apphive detects that the user is not logged in. When the user is not logged in, I want to prompt him to log in my application, right? So first, let's add something as a placeholder in this page so the user doesn't see just a black screen. You can add images in Apphive. An image is just another control, and this control supports more than just images. It supports lotis. Lotis are a form of animation images that are made with JSON. If you have designers of know a designer, they must know JSON Lottie. So for ourselves, let's add a Lottie from a page. It's called Lottie files. In Lottie files, you can see a lot of free Lotties. So let's log in because you need to sign in order to download them. I remember, I don't know, maybe that's not true. Let's search for one. Let's put cookie. So now you will see a lot of animations. You can sort them by the price. I want a free one. I don't want to pay for it. So let's wait for it. There you go. Which one do I like the most? What about this one? Click here. You can click on the Lottie file. Sorry, I click outside of the dialog, and now you can download it. You can see here is a JSON file. If you download it, you can add this file to your Apphive project easily. You just double click on your image, go to the upload file section right here and click on choose, and go to your downloads folder and download the animation that you just downloaded from Lottie files. You can see here a preview of the same animation, and you can select that, and there you go. Now I have a page with cookies showing there. You can run the application and you can see the Lottie file is right here. That is very easy to implement and to add in Apphive. So now that I have these ones, I want to redirect the user to a new page when is not logged in. Let's add that page right here. Let's change the name of our page. Remember to always put mnemonic names in your pages. This is going to be called a splash screen. There you go. And then after that, this one is going to be out page. Okay, let's change the color. I don't like that blue. It's too strong for me. I don't know if that is the correct word to say, strong. So now I want to redirect from this page to the out page. So let's remove the debug log when the user is not logged in, and let's search here for the replace. Here you can ask me why should I use replace screen instead of using the push screen. Remember, push screen puts the page on top of this one, but I don't want to return to this one after I logged in. I want to stay on the page that it's called authentication. So let's use replace top page. This will create a new out page, remove the one that I have, the splash screen, remove it, and just puts the out screen out page, sorry, and this is the only page that is in memory in my application when it is running. So this is a little bit more efficient in a sense, and I don't want to return to the splash screen, so that is why I am not using the push screen function. So let's add here the out, and let's go here and refresh it. There you go. The system detects that there is no user logged in and puts me in the out page. In this page, I want to prompt the user to log in. I'm going to be using Google Provider. So let's add a text here. Double click and type welcome. Please let us know who are you. Let's put this text on the center and change the size, like maybe like that. That's good. And let's change the alignment so it is centered. So now let's add a button and put here out myself. I'm not a designer, so maybe some of the interfaces that I made with Apphive are not exactly super beautiful, but they are functional, okay? So now let's change the alignment of these items inside the page. You can see this menu right here. You can change here how the controls on the page are aligned. For example, this one is the space between one. So you have almost the same space here, here, and here, and it looks a little bit more evenly distributed. So let's go back here and refresh the page. There you go. I want to click this button and log in with Google. So let's do that. Click here, add the event on press, and after the on press is added, let's add Google like that, login with Google. There you go. Let's go to the callback section of this function, and here you have one that it says successful login. When the user is logged in my application, I want to return to the splash screen. But I just told you moments ago that I don't want to return to the splash screen. I don't want the user to return to the splash screen, but I am going to be using the splash screen to go to the home page. So let's go to there. So let's replace top page again. And let's replace it for the splash screen again. So let's do that. Refresh here. First, I enter the splash screen, then the splash screen replaces for the out page, and then I click here, and I'm going to be logging with Google. This one opens because I have I have a setting in my browser that always opens a development tool when I have one already open. So ignore that. This is the one that you are going to be prompted to. Let's click on the account that I want to use. And after that, it will detect that I am already logged in, and then it should return me to the out page, but it did not do that. I don't know why. It should, right? But it didn't do that. I don't know why. Let's try to say why. But I can see I already make my application don't work. So let's close this one and let's close this one. Maybe it was my connection or something that I did by mistake. I don't know. Let's return to my application. There you go. Maybe the problem was, let me check what I did. Successful login with Google. Replace page. No, everything is okay, right? I am in the login in the splash screen page, and now the user is logged in, right? Let's open the console again. Here you go. User is detected. When the user is detected, I want to go to the home page. So let's add the home page right here. Let's change the color again because that color is not really that pleasant. And let's add a text here and put here home page, and also change the name of the page right here, home. There you go. So now here, when the user is already logged in, let's remove this debug function right here and put the replace top page again. Replace top page, and here let's go to home. So now when I enter the application and the application detects that I am already logged in, it goes to the home page. Now in the home page, I want an option to get out of my account. So let's put that one, log out. There you go. And here, let's add a new event on press. And here there is a function to log out. Okay. And after I log out, I want to return to the splash screen. Replace top page, splash screen. Let's hope everything works. Let's see. There you go, home page, log out. There you go. You can see that when I logged out, it returns to the splash screen, but the splash screen immediately detects that I am not logged in and prompts me to check my account. So let's out again. Let's see if everything works as expected. There you go. I authenticate myself, return to the splash screen page. The splash screen page detects that I am already logged in and moves me to the home page. And that, my friends, is exactly how you work with navigation and with the authentication functions in Apphive. All the other functions that you use in Apphive work the same way. There are only a lot of topics that are a little bit more advanced to be taken into account. I'm going to tell you something a little bit about what we are trying to make in here. First of all, if you are new and everything I just said doesn't make sense to you, or you don't understand a lot of what I am saying, please do not despair. Do not be worried about it. We are going to make it a little bit clearer for you as we go along. What is important, what you have to do is ask me the questions. You have to ask me, did not understand you when you did this, exactly this. And it's going to be my pleasure to answering you that. I know my English is not exactly the perfect one, but it's going to be improved a lot as the time goes on. The other thing that I want to tell you is that creating applications is not easy business. It's actually quite hard to make a good application. If you want to make good applications, this is the course for you, because I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do them. But if your objective is not to build an application, but just to buy one that is already built or pay for someone to build your application, these are not tutorials for you. You have to contact someone that has the ability or wants to try it out in Apphive. If you don't want to build your application yourself, these tutorials are not for you. These tutorials are for the people that want to know how to build the application. Okay. If you want to buy the application, you can do that. Of course, we have a marketplace to buy applications that are already made by people that work. They are not from Apphive. They are our partners. Their business is to make applications and sell them. But regardless of that, we are going to be learning how to build applications, right? With that, I'm going to end this stream right here. We are going to make another ones the next Monday. I hope you are here for me. I'm going to be very, very pleased to answer your questions. I'm going to be very, very pleased, in fact, when one question is posted here. If not, you can post your questions in the URL of the form that we send by email to our customers, so they can know I am doing this live stream. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.